Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to the Red and Blue Review. My name and your host for this evening and throughout the coming season is Nick Philpott. I hope you're all well. You've enjoyed your summer off and you're going to get back into your football. Welcome to the Red and Blue Review, everybody. Tonight, as always, I'm joined by Ian Lyons. Mate, welcome back. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. I hope everyone's safe and well.
Also, again, rejoining the Red and Blue Review for the umpteenth time, Grant Saunders. Welcome, Grant.
Hello, good evening, and banana.
And joining us tonight, we are delighted to have two new members of the viewing team who are now members of the actual hard-working team. First of all, we'll kick off with going up north, Nigel Croucher in Sunderland. Hi, Nigel. How are you, mate?
Why, aye. Good evening, man.
Good lad. Welcome to the team, buddy. I hope you're well.
Yes.
How was your summer?
Very good. Quiet due to lockdown, but, you know, we're getting there.
Good man. Good man. And it's also a massive pleasure to welcome to the team Rob Donovan. Rob, you are a virgin. Okay, you are a Red and Blue Review virgin. Welcome to the team, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. Pleasure to be here, guys. Really pleased to be here.
Rob, very quickly, 10 seconds. Give us your Palace history.
Palace history. So first game was in 1991, I think it was. Been season ticket on and off. I sit in the afterway and I'm there for like 7 years. And I go with my two boys.
Superb. Well, what I say, welcome to the team. We're delighted to have you along. So coming up in this evening's show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to touch on a review of the last season, but probably touching more importantly on the last few games. I look forward to the coming season and what sort of guys it may look like. Okay, we're going to be talking about the incoming and outgoing players because obviously this week there has been some movement, and our understanding from very good sources that we've got at least one new face joining us this week, and we'll be touching on that. Questions from the viewers. We've got lots of questions coming, particularly from the questions crew. And good evening to everybody in the questions crew. I hope you're all well and you've had a good summer. Georgia Wagru, thank you for waking me up at whatever it was, 4:15 with your first question this morning. And I'm very grateful. And we have some wonderful news, okay, about our Predictions League. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to do it very quickly. www.redandbluereview.co.uk. The Predictions League is all on there. We're going to cover it in great detail later on, but make sure you've actually gone onto our website and actually have a look. Okay, more importantly, come and join us. So, boys, where should we kick off? Grant, I'm going to start with you because you're, unlike me, you're more of a level-headed person, and you're more not as judgmental as I am. Talk to me about the last 8 games of this season. Or last season.
We only played one, didn't we? I mean, it was a car crash. The whole thing was an absolute car crash. Bournemouth was. It was a pleasant get back to football. You know, we looked like we were up for it. We looked like we've got 2 more months of football, a month of football. Let's do it. But we all know what happened after that. There was just lack of interest. There's a well-documented photograph of the drinks break or the tactical break, as they call it now. Who were we playing? Was it Leicester? I can't remember now. But our lot were just all over the place, doing what they wanted, weren't listening to the manager. The other guys, no, it was Wolves, wasn't it? They were all huddled around the manager, and they were unison. We were on the plane. Our guys were going on holiday already. Yeah, we were safe. I really think they were just saying, let's just not get injured. Let's just get through. A bit of kickabout. It was atrocious stuff. If anybody says anything different, what planet are they on? It's just like after the Bournemouth match, you think, yeah, we could get something out of this. People talk about Europe, which was pathetic in my view, but reality hit. You know, where we finished was a realistic summary of the season. You know, the league table does not lie. You end up we deserve, and I think we deserved less, to be honest. After that,
Ian,
I'll take a breather.
Ian, I'm coming to you, mate. Okay, so your overall thoughts of how we ended up. Bear in mind, we'd finished the pre-lockdown very strongly. Okay, we're in a really good position. As Grant just described it, car crash followed. Your overall thoughts on those 8 matches, mate?
This is why I absolutely hate following Grant, because he steals my thunder. Yeah, I mean, it was just, the irony being is that for once it was actually a solid start to the season, wasn't it? I think we were unbeaten until we went away at Spurs, then conceded 4 goals in 20 minutes, and then it was right. Okay, let's try and steady the boat. And then, as Grant rightly said, there were a few high points. Man United away, certainly one of them, and we. For once last season, we actually beat the teams in and around us, which is something that we should be doing. We've been very poor at for a long, long time, and this time round, I think we've been good at that, and that's probably what saved us in the end. And obviously, you know, in the run up to lockdown, we had those 1-0 wins. So we went into that. We came back out. And had a good performance against Bournemouth, who turned out to be pretty much the worst side in the league. And then the wheels fell off. That was it. And as Grant says, that was it. They would talk of Europe, and I think they were thinking about their holidays rather than actually playing in it. And it just completely went to crap. And at the start of the year, I think Southampton were like 3 points off the bottom. And then by the end of the season, they were 9 points in front of us. There was something like a 14-point swing in the last 8 games, and I'll put a graphic up just to represent that. You know, and they are a massive team on form, and yet we just completely lost it towards the end. And as a result, the support for Hodgson, which was middling, it was probably the majority, or just a small majority, in favour for him. It has started to wane. So next season will be interesting, especially as we're going to be playing someone like Southampton, who will take great store from how they finished the season. First game.
Okay, Nigel, I'm coming to you, mate. We did have some positives throughout the season. Unbeaten against Brighton, Watford going down. But can we pin the last 8 games and the poor performances all on the manager, or is there more to it than that?
I'll put it down to the players. The Bournemouth game gave us 100% certainty we were stopping up. And as everybody else has said, flip-flops are in the bag. They were looking for the beach.
Yeah.
And, you know, they put a fairly decent performance in the last match against Tottenham. Yeah. But apart from that, they just weren't interested in it.
And Rob, what do you think? Is the lack of investment as to blame, or is it the players, as the guys have already alluded to, or is it the manager? What's your thoughts, Rob?
I think a lot of the blame's with Roy, to be honest, at the moment. I didn't enjoy last season. I thought it was really dull. It's the first time going there that I love the whole experience. I love going to the pub with everyone beforehand. And there was a number of occasions where we thought, should we just stay in the pub? Because you know we're going to get served up. It's going to be dull first half. You're not going to start playing until the other team scores. And then all of a sudden we look like world beaters trying to get the equaliser. And I just didn't get it. I did not get the last 8 games at all. Once we're safe and it's clear we weren't going for Europe, well, why not inject some passion in the fans? I know they weren't there, but just play the youngsters. We're doing it in friendly and everyone's interested again. These last 2 games, youngsters have been playing, everyone's interested. But we just kind of limped to nothing this season, played the same players and played 16 million midfielders, and just, it was dull.
It's quite interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open the floor to you guys, all of you, and ask you, not individually, but just have a conversation amongst yourselves. What about this? We had all finished the season thinking that we would probably be in for a management change of some description. Roy would either move upstairs or something would happen. And very, very evidently, quickly after the closed season, any talk of the possibility of Daesh or anything else soon went. Okay, Ian, I'm coming straight to you, mate. Okay, what's What was your thoughts when you realised that, hang on a minute, we're not having a management change, we're sticking with Hodgson, even though, as Rob has just perfectly alluded to, the style of football wasn't great? Over to you guys.
I think personally, before I hand it on, and if any of you want to jump in, just raise your hand and I'll come to you. Grant? Right, before Grant jumps in, to me, I think one of the questions is, we always get these people that say, be careful what you wish for, blah, 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 blah. And as I've said on the show before, I understand the thought process behind that, but that in itself is a negative and a very defensive stance to take. There's nothing stopping us wanting to better ourselves. And even before Roy, we got Roy, we got Roy because the previous manager needed replacing. And the same will happen at some stage with Roy. So whether we're wishing for it or whether it's actually going to be through osmosis, we are going to get a new manager. Now, the key to any new manager is whether or not they are the right fit for the club. And I think that's more important. I think, so, as Grant said, we finished 14th. I think we were lucky to finish 14th. We just stumbled to that position. Was it a true reflection of how we were playing? Well, ultimately, yes. Could we have done a lot better? Ultimately, yes. And I think that is where Roy is going to keep us. Now, a lot of the fan base would be happy with 14th mid-table, but I honestly think what they're doing is we're clearly bringing new blood, which was needed. We missed Cahill as soon as he got injured against Chelsea. I think that was the writing was on the wall for over 5 or 6 of the last games. And I think they're just keeping him there for this season to keep his hand on the tiller and to allow us to manage that change and that manage the integration of these new young players. Although, personally, I think the irony in Roy doing that isn't lost. And maybe they are talking to the likes of Deitch or Eddie Howe. I've seen people want. I wouldn't necessarily want him. I think it's suspend force at the minute. Steven Gerrard's the one I'd be looking at, but it'd be interesting. But to answer your question, Nick, yes, I was surprised. I'm surprised he's still there, but I'm surprised Wilf's still there as well. And also, I think there's a reason for that, and I think that they're actually managing a transition by keeping him there. Grant.
Yeah, ditto. Thanks. That's me. Yeah, good.
Yes.
The question about manager. Everyone was out for Roy's head, weren't they? But no one ever comes up with a solution. They always bring up a problem. And I always like to say, well, that's wrong, but here's the solution. Nobody's really got a solution. So, Deitch is great. Eddie Howe is great. Eddie Howe, if you remember rightly, he left Bournemouth, then he go to Peterborough. He said he wouldn't come to Palace because we weren't big enough. I think that's what he said. Something of those long lines.
He went to Burnley, I think, wasn't it?
Burnley.
I'm up north, yeah. It didn't work out for him, did it? And I really wouldn't want Howe out of place at all. I want him well away. He's got into like semi-retirement now, hasn't he? He'll come back in winter time. I want to clubs deep bleep and they need some help. Living donuts out of me. Roy, he's in there. He's got a style of play. Has he got a style of play, or is he playing with the players that we've got? We know we've got a geriatric outfit. We know that we're lowering the age of it. Just by bringing in one player, we've lowered the average by about 5 years already. So that's good. I think Roy's style of play isn't too bad at all, but he hasn't been able to play his style of play because he's playing with a bunch of geriatrics. I can see Roy staying with the club long term. He hasn't got any many years left, to be honest, has he? But I can see him going upstairs. But who's he going to go upstairs to support is the question. I can't give you the answer. I can't give you the solution to the problem. I can only leave a problem there at the moment. I think he's the right man for us now. He knows the club. He knows the players. For me, there was a level of that he lost respect from the players last season. Again, that showed in the water breaks. Ian, you mentioned something about Cahill. I mean, when he was cropped and he left the team, something was missing in that back four. Something was missing across the team. For me, he's our new leader, and he, for me, feeds off of Roy nicely. He's a good player, and I would hate to say it, I would just remove the armband from Luca. That will then allow Luca to play, because I think he's got too much responsibility on him. I've gone down the responsibility route here. We talk about the management, aren't we? But Roy, for me, stays for now. Who's out there? Okay. Who's out there that we could get? Who's out there we want to come to us?
Rob or Nige, your thoughts, please.
I'll go. Grant makes a good point. Everyone comes up with the problems, but I think the players don't want to play for Roy. I think they don't want to play those tactics. I think Wilf's unhappy, although he does big him up publicly, but I think Wilf's unhappy. The amount of times, this season in particular, the amount of times he got the ball, turn around and pass it rather than take on the player, it's just frustrating. I think Luca's nowhere near the player he was. I'm a big fan of Luca, and he had a bad season this season. But I don't think he wants to play for it. I think they're fed up with the dull defensive tactics. And you wouldn't want to play in that team. Why would you want it? He's just uninspiring. You can't just to defend for 80 minutes and then go on the attack and it's always try and get a goal back, not try and win the game. Just try and get a goal back. I think a lot of the players are unhappy in that system and don't want to play. And I think the minute you lose the dressing room, it's like cliche in football, then the manager's got to go. And I think that's the situation we face.
Nige?
Right. Well, I think Luca lost it 2018. He went to the World Cup and he never came back the same player. I think he's been off it since then. I think he should lose the armband. Give it to Cahill. I think he's absolutely inspirational. I say I don't get to every match, but the games I've been to, he absolutely bosses back four. You know, he's a natural leader, and that's the sort of thing we want. As for Roy, I think he just needs he needs a more positive number two with him. Somebody that'll sort of say, "Come on, you know, get this." Sort of Ray just sits behind him, and he's a nodding dog. Yes, Roy. Yes, Roy.
Well, that's not nodding him. Right.
You know, we need a number two that'll go in, kick back end with the players, and also sort of tell the gaffer what's wrong. Fix that, and things might improve a bit on the pitch.
Thank you, mate. So I mean, we'll come on to the question of the Zaha issue at the moment in a few minutes. But
sorry, Nick, can I just jump in, mate? Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to go on to the end of that one because you're quite right. Number two, someone like a Sammy Lee, yeah, who's like a little Jack Russell. He's down there, but boy, has he got a gob on him, and he's passionate. Totally agree with that. Roy's the master. Give him a loudspeaker.
Yeah, but you could actually argue. That it's that's what Lewington is. I mean, if you listen to Lewington on the sidelines during these no supporters matches, he's very vocal. Yes, Rob, go.
I was just going to say that the thing that's uninspiring about Roy at the moment as well is the inability to play the youth. And we have made a couple of really good signings, but you just wonder, are they going to play? Because there's no fans you speak to at the moment. It's great the signings, but you're thinking, are they going to feature? Are they going to play? Or are they going to be on the bench and brought on and face another Maya situation or Jaro situation? With another manager, you're going to get excited. You're not excited, man. With the new signings, you want to be really excited, but you don't know if they're going to play at the moment. Hopefully, I'm wrong. The first couple of games proved wrong. But yeah, you just wonder at the moment.
Okay, well, I think we'll draw a line under the last season, and we'll move on to hopefully some more positive things going on at the club in terms of signings in a moment. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can always watch us and find us on Twitter, YouTube at any time. You can watch and listen or download to this and any of our previous backlog of podcasts, or just simply ask your Alexa, play a Red and Blue Review podcast, or simply go to redandbluereview.co.uk for all the links. We enjoy having a conversation. We are the only podcast you can watch. Right, boys, we're going to cover transfers, if you don't mind. Okay, so obviously the one that hasn't gone, and Grant's already just touched on it a minute ago. Let's do the big one, okay? Wilfried Zaha. Ian, I'm coming to you. Wilfried Zaha still at the club with 2 weeks of the transfer window left to go. Why is he still there? Do you actually still want him there? Let's go to areas other podcasts won't touch. Do you still want him there? Ian Lyons.
That's a very dangerous line, isn't it? Yeah, listen. If we get players in that attract the attention away from him, i.e., he is our only threat, which is why he always has 3 people on him and therefore nullified. If we've got was it Aberici Eze?
SA, yeah.
Aberici Eze. Right. Sorry, I've just mangled that. If he, as he's intimated in his post-match interview yesterday, is being given license to roam by Roy, and he's already saying Wilf makes it easy for me because he takes the attention from me, then we've got 2 players that teams need to worry about. And if that's the case, that means Wilf's going to be more effective, and that means I'd want him to stay. If you flip it on its coin, the question on to the other side of the coin, and say, are people going to pay 60 million, what we want for him? No, they're not. They're not going to pay. I think we'll be lucky to get 45 up front and then maybe another 10 in add-ons. I think that's the best we can hope for. And even then, his performances since the lockdown, the resumption, haven't warranted it. And I think he is in danger of being disillusioned because he's going to want to go. We're going to say you can go provided people meet our price, and we're going to be stifling him a bit like Messi at the minute, isn't it? You know, I mean, on a completely different level, clearly. But so I can see him staying. I can see Aberici as he taking the heat off him a little bit, and if we were to get someone else up front as well, that may actually help as well. But in order to answer your question, I guess the ultimate answer is let's just see until no one knows what's going to come in until the window's shut.
Okay, Nigel, coming to you, mate. I'd like your thoughts on the fact that Zaha is still there. And then Grant, you immediately follow Nigel, please.
Right. I think Wilf. Well, we know he's a family man, and his partner is now expecting number 2. I've got a feeling Wilf wants to stop sort of in that area, at least until the second child's born. I've got a feeling he's going to be with us probably until the January transfer. As Ian said, him and Eze, or whatever you want to call him, together, that they could be an absolute menace to most of the teams in the Premiership. So I'd just like to see a couple of games against a decent team just to see what those 2 could do before he went. But I think it's, as you say, 2 weeks before the window closes for Europe. Is it about 6 weeks before it closes for English teams, I think?
Yeah, that's right.
So give it a couple of weeks, see what it does.
But don't get, I mean, the reason I mentioned a couple of weeks, Nigel, because that's his ambition, isn't it? His ambition was to play some form of European football, which is why I mentioned it. And you're quite right to point out the main transfer. Go on.
Yeah, Everton keeps getting mentioned for him to go to. And to me, Everton, I know Everton have got a bit more history than us and probably got a bit more cash to flash. But they haven't achieved much more than us in the last couple of years. They've had the odd season in Europe. He's not going to get sort of regular European football with them, so you rule them out. So the other London clubs, I don't think he'll fit in at the moment. You've got them saying, oh, he was an Arsenal fan as a kid. Sort of with the signings Arsenal have made, he goes there, he's just going to be a bench warmer. So it's I think if he does go, it's going to be Europe. So,
Grant, you've seen more of Zaha than any of us because of the amount of games you go to. Are you surprised he's still at the club, mate?
Yes and no. Yes, I'm here. We were asking for a lot of money for him, but people say it's overpriced. But then you look what we got for Balassi. You look what we got for Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, Wilf was he was worth a lot of money. He could have gone into a team and made a big name for himself. He could have done. Ian, you said earlier on about license to roam. Were you referring to SA?
Yeah, apparently that's what he's been told. But the thing is,
that's fine. But is that pre-season only? You see, okay, SA, you got license to roam. Do it pre-season. Do it against Charlton. Do it against Mill. What we.
But the thing is, Grant, is he is by his own admission an attacking midfielder. So we still haven't sorted out the striking option. So exactly. I can see that he's going to be allowed to roam in the number 10 role.
Yeah. I mean, they did look good together the other day, I must admit. SA brought some excitement into the match for me, definitely. Talking about Wilf leaving, would I miss him? No, I wouldn't. My proof behind that is, I think the first game we played without Wilf for a long time, I was there. It was West Brom away. I think we won 2-0. Might be different, but the one player that stood out for me that match was Andros, because he was actually allowed to play. We all see it. Everyone's been briefed. As soon as you get the ball, give it a Wilf. You watch any match, it's give it a Wilf, give it a Wilf. He wasn't there. I'll tell you what, Andros played an absolute blinder that day. I remember he scored a cracker of a goal as well. We can play without him. Also, Wilf is getting on these days. He's no longer the spring chicken he used to be. And quite right, you said earlier on, he's going to become a father of a second child. Who knows how many more he's got? Does he want stability? Does he want to stay in the area? People in this chat room know a bit more than we'll let on. But I just don't think he can command the price now. And the club saying we want 60, 70 million, it's, all the chairmen are just going, whatever. Can you cut that out? Sorry. What was the question? I mean, it's just about...
Are you surprised he's still there at that late stage in the transfer window?
No. If something's going to happen, it happened last minute, it'd be dramatic. He'll fly in the helicopter, he'll come down on a rope ladder, have a bar of dairy milk in his hand and give it to some lady because she likes dairy milk. It's just... It's going to be with flowers and bells when it happens for him. It's not going to be just here's something happening. He'll want to go out with a storm. He'll want the fanfare, but I don't think he's going to get it. I really don't. Go for Nick.
Rob, your thoughts, mate? Because have we? Grant talking about we wanted 70 and 80 million for him. Have we missed the boat? Is he now too old?
Yeah, I think last season was the one to go. I think. With Wilf, everyone expected him to go this season. The fans were ready for him to go. He was ready to go. And the fact that he hasn't gone, it's kind of left everyone scratching their heads and everyone in limbo. Yeah. And I put it on the chat earlier. We've had 2 pre-season friendlies, and he's the only player to play full 90 minutes in both of them. It's just baffling. Why are we not prepared for life without him? I don't get the end game there. And it's kind of the hope that kills you, because we're not far away, say 2 weeks from the European, 6 weeks from the end transfer. And you're kind of seeing what the potential that could happen if he does stay and he is motivated again. So you kind of want to see that, but then you want him to go so we can move on. It's just a weird period of limbo at the moment.
And you know what? You raise a great point. Why is he playing? Okay, and I'm gonna throw this out here to everybody watching. Why? And Roger's alluded to it, rightly so. Why is the only player to have played 90 minutes both games? Surely we want him sold, gone, and give us a chance to transition to the life post Wilfried Zaha.
What better way than by playing him? I mean, if he scored a couple of goals, okay, against mediocre teams, to be perfectly honest. But nevertheless, he's scored 3 goals, and that's something he's not done in pre-season for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So I think all they're doing is they're giving him a chance to say, look, you want to go, score the goals, prove that you're on form, and then you'll get your move. But unless you actually, get moving and then actually put in some performances, no one's going to be interested, mate. So pull your finger out.
So Palace's first major signing of the summer, Abrici as a 22-year-old on a 5-year deal. Gentlemen, were you shocked on the 5-year deal? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Reportedly on a £16 million and with £4 million of add-ons. Okay, he made his first start of the game against for Roy Hodgson's team. Roy Hodgson's team made 3 changes of the side that kicked off against Oxford United. Palace started on the front foot, and anyway, we'll talk about the pre-season games in a minute. Ian, as far as the term of the contract is concerned, 5 years. Were you surprised we got him on a 5-year deal?
No, not really. I think if we're putting for once we're paying market value for a player. The add-ons seem to be quite sensible. They're based on number of appearances, number of goals, us staying up in the Premiership, and also there's a 20% sell-on clause as well, which by Celtic standards is fantastic. So, but I think it's the standard now, isn't it? So you've got to expect that. Listen, this kid was being chased by 5 or 6 Premier League clubs, and he's chosen us as potentially someone else that we'll come on to discuss in a minute may have done as well. So listen, we're the first to give people a kick in when things aren't going right, but Steve Parish has said time and time again over the last 12 months that we are a club that's going to be looking at young British talent. And that's what's happening. You know, Nathan Ferguson, 19 years old, 3-year contract. Aberachieze, 22 years old, 5-year contract. And then, you know, the other kid that we may discuss in a minute that the rumours are will get on loan is another 20-year-old. And they're all England under-21 internationals. Just what we want, isn't it?
Thank you for the feed there. Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. Okay. He's had spells out on loan at Charlton and Swansea last season, I believe. Born in 2000. He's actually born in Epsom. He's a 6'1" box-to-box midfielder, is my understanding. I personally don't know too much about him. I've got a little bit of doubt, gentlemen. Okay, and I'm going to throw a bit of negativity into it, and over to you to discuss it. My understanding, and I've had this on extremely reliable source, is it's not Chelsea won't sell him. He doesn't want to join us. He doesn't want to join us on a permanent. He only wants to come to us as a loan. Okay, so it just sucks to me as another Loftus-Cheek scenario where we improve a Chelsea player to go on to be a superb international. Why are we letting ourselves be used like this? Okay, any of you go for it. Who wants to go first?
Are we being used though? I mean, with Loftus-Cheek, he was fantastic for us. Wouldn't it be great if he came to us? Yeah, he didn't come to us. So what, you know? But on your CV, would you rather have Chelsea? Would you rather have Palace? You're still a Chelsea employee, but you're playing football somewhere else for a year. You can't blame these guys. To them, it's a job. For them, there's no passion in it. We're all supporters here. We all stand in the terraces. We all watch the game. We watch the players. For them, it's just there's no loyalty or passion there for me. They'll want to stay with their mother club. They might have been there since they were 6 years old, whatever. But they go and play football in a different park. You know, you normally play in that park, but they're going to play in this park this week. I don't see a problem with it as such, but for me, is it going to be damaging? Because I think with Loftus-Cheek, we enjoyed his football, his style of play. He was strong. You know, he pushed forward so strong, and then all of a sudden there's a void. We didn't fill it, did we? And we've missed that now for a couple of seasons. Are we going to get the same thing with Gallagher? I don't know. What I do like, can I go back to the 5-year contract for SA?
Please do.
22, bring up to 27, we get him into the age bracket we like then, don't we? We like people who are old, 27 to 30 years old. But we are lowering our average age, which is so key for us as a club. This all goes back really to the Roy thing as well, because you kind of, a manager up in his 70s, got his team are like not that much older than him. It's just, I've completely lost my train of thought now, but hey, whatever.
Nigel, your thoughts, please, on
go to someone else. Sorry.
Yeah, Nigel, your thoughts on the fact, first of all, the 5-year contract. Were you surprised at the length of that? And secondly, with Conor and the fact that he only wants to join us as a loan.
That's he was Chelsea Young Player of the Year, 2019, I think it was. So obviously they rate him there. So I think he thinks that is his career, and as you say, he's just getting put out. Like they've seen him out in the Championship for a year. They just want to up the ante a bit and see what he's like in the Premiership.
Nice. Can I ask a quick question? Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
When you say he was Chelsea Young Player of the Year 2019, was he on loan then?
Well, I don't know whether he was still on loan at the time or that's why he was still in the youth team. But he has won the sort of Young Player of the Year. I was reading that online this morning.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's got to be well rated by his, I presume that's voted by his fellow players, rather than the fans one. So that's got to put him sort of well in the rankings.
I mean, don't you think that the fact that he does, he's made it quite clear that he's only prepared to join us as a loan. Basically he's just been hauled out for a season. Am I viewing this wrong? Come to you first, Nigel, and then on to you, Rob.
No, I think you're right. Sort of, he's looking sort of to where he wants to be, and obviously that is Chelsea, titles, European football, and I say at the moment he's not going to get that at Palace, but what he will get is he'll get a season. Hopefully, if he does come, quite a few games. There's people around him that can learn off. So he's got he probably already knows Cahill, so so I'd imagine he'll take him under his wing and sort of guide him. So it will extend his knowledge for a season.
But at our expense, Rob, your thoughts?
I think there's a massive amount of pride in there for our fans. It's almost like we don't think we're good enough, sort of don't join us type thing. But at the same token, with Ruben, I love watching Ruben in our team. He improved us brilliantly and he improved the players around him. And there's always that chance, if they love it at Palace, they might think, actually, this is not that bad. I love the crowd. They're not going to get that next year, but they love it. They love the whole setup and they might want to join. And I think, didn't Cahill say when he joined, it was Ruben that actually said, look, go there. It's a fantastic place. It's a brilliant club. Yeah. And it was one of the reasons why Cahill comes. So there's always benefits to it. And not just like using us for a year. We can use them and, it strengthens the relationship with Chelsea. And they've got an abundance of youth players from everywhere that one of them will eventually stay, hopefully.
Ian, I'm coming to you next, mate. Okay, so we covered the one or two. I know we didn't really touch on Ferguson, but we all already know quite a lot about Ferguson. But where do we go next? Who do you think we need to bring in before the season starts? Bearing in mind, we've only got a couple of weeks left before it does, and we have still got 5 or 6 weeks of the transfer window left. Where do you think we need to go next?
Right, well, where we need to go is for a striker and, for me, another centre-back. But whether we will, I think it's going to be highly dependent on whether we offload any players. I mean, Benteke's got an 8 million price tag. I don't know whether that's for us to give to someone that wants him or not. McCarthy is rumoured to be of interest to Celtic, so we may get a bit of a wedge for him. I'm not too sure as to whether I'll be sad or sorry, or pleased to see him go, but I think that'll certainly free up some space and some wages. Sorloth is the elephant in the room.
Yeah, interesting.
How many times 9, 12 months ago, that were probably even longer than that, when everyone was slating him, and I was saying, I can see a player there. He's just not, he's playing in a team that aren't giving him the service. I appreciate that he's scoring goals in probably a second-rate league, but nevertheless, the decision around the reported deal that we gave Trabzonspor for him, in that we couldn't actually call him back. If he played for a second season, they get him for €6 million. That person should be shot. Regardless of whether it was going to turn out to be good or bad. The fact is, they were desperate to sell him, and now we're going to have massive egg on our face when he turns up in some Serie A team or a Premier League, La Liga team, because we were too bloody stubborn to stick with him. So for me, it'd be up front. following on from the Chelsea theme, I agree with Rob entirely about Loftus-Cheek and maybe Loftus-Cheek's influence on him. It was probably. I'm surprised to hear that he doesn't want to perhaps sign for us. But again, as Rob's rightly said, if he has a good season and we end up in a top 10, then he may actually change his mind. Because if Chelsea are willing to loan him out and get rid of him, and we're open to a deal, then they're no fools. They're just going to say, no, mate. You've done, you followed our model. We've land banked all the talent in Britain, and then we're just going to whore you out to different teams until we get a decent fee for you. You were never going to be in our plans. It's either there or nowhere. Having seen him play for Charlton and Swansea last season in a couple of games, he's got a good engine on him. He's a good unit as well. And
very physical as well. Very physical in the middle of the park.
And he actually carries the ball, which we do not do enough from a defensive midfield position. And touching on something that Grant said earlier, or was it Grant? It might have been Grant, or actually it might have been Nigel as well, about Luca. I'm not so sure Luca's going to be around for too much longer. If I'm honest, I can see him maybe going in the window.
Where is he now? He hasn't played at all, is he?
Well, no, not yet. No. So that's where I'd go anyway. So to finish off that stream of consciousness, I would go for Batshuayi, Chelsea.
Okay, Batshuayi is a very good option, I think, and we've obviously got a relationship with Chelsea. My understanding is that Connor has passed his medical with us, and that was done yesterday, and is and will not be an option to buy. Grant, where do we go? Who do we want up?
That's got to be a first. Connor passing a medical, Palace.
yeah. It doesn't. Well, they normally all pass medicals. It's just that particular Connor, he's still there as well. So where is Wickham? Where is still nothing from Tompkins? Where is Milivojevic? Haven't seen any of them. We know that Cahill's out for another. I think he was out. Initially they said 12 weeks, which will bring him to probably our third or fourth game of the season. He'll still be out. Lots of players still not available. Van Arnholt, of course.
Max Meyer.
Right, Rob, as you're on screen, Max Meyer. No, he featured. He featured in. He did feature. Rob Wiley, who do we want up top? I've got a name and somebody I fancy, but I'll be interested to know your thoughts.
I like Batshuayi as well. I wouldn't mind Batshuayi. If Callum Wilson, if you wanted to leave Bournemouth, I want a nippy young forward, a fast forward. That's what I want.
Okay.
I had nothing but.
I love your thought process because I'll be honest with you, Callum Wilson, Joe has been advocating the long lost Joe Olio has been an advocate of him for a long time. Joe, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Joe will be back joining us on a regular basis, as he is right the way through the season. You haven't lost him forever. Okay, Grant, your thoughts, please. One person nobody's mentioned yet. Go for it.
No, I'm going to go ditto on a couple of names that have been mentioned. I like the Batman. It's gone very quiet around him. He was mentioned in the tabloids a couple of weeks ago, but it's gone very quiet around him. It's gone very quiet at our club about him as well. Who knows? It's something in shape up already. Ben Teke's got a sensible tag on his head as well. Yeah, that can get a few coffers in. That pays for half of the Batman. I also like the fact that Bournemouth have been removed from the Premier League now, so let's rate them for their players. So yeah, we should go and get Wilson. I agree with that. He's an exciting player. He's an exciting player.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Every time I've been down to Bournemouth, sorry to carry on. Every time I've been down to Bournemouth, you see him on his own pitch. He always causes us a problem.
So no one thinks Ollie Watkins then?
You see, you've just stolen my thunder. Bugger off, Lions. I'm coming to Ollie Watkins.
I haven't finished.
Right, go on. Finish up.
Young man at Brentford as well, I think we should have.
I think that's a very wise choice. Very wise.
Thank you, Ian.
Hold on. Ian, Nigel Croucher.
I say I'd have Batshuayi back. As long as you don't get our eyeballs ripped out by Chelsea for him. And there's the lad up at Celtic.
Yeah, Eduardo.
McCarthy going up there, sort of maybe McCarthy and maybe Cash.
I think it'd be a good move for McCarthy out there.
That's not going to happen. They want 40 million for him, and the reason they want 40 million for him is because of this ridiculous 40% sell-on fee that was agreed with PSG. They have now landed themselves with a player that, to all intents and purposes, is unsellable at the minute.
Yeah, and boys, I know we were laughing, but the one that hadn't been mentioned till a minute ago is my favourite, and the one that I think is the one that we won't get, Ollie Watkins. I think he's an extremely exciting prospect going forward, and with the potential of still seeing him with Zaha in the team, maybe dropping out to the other wing in place of Townsend and Ezzy behind. I think he would be a wonderful.
The thing is, I saw Grant had his hand up, so Grant after me. I use a winger though, always has been. So we've just been using him in the middle. So I think that's a natural progression. I agree, mate.
But Zaha on one side, Ayew on the other side, Ezzy behind the striker, and the striker being Ollie Watkins, is my idea of Palace Pawn. Grant Saunders, go.
I've actually completely forgotten what I'm talking about, but there you go. There's our new manager, Mr. Nick Philpott. Move over, Roy.
What do I know?
Nick, sorry, it was something you said, and I wanted to jump into that straight away, but no, let's move on.
Okay, we're going to move on to the fixtures. Palace kick off their campaign next season, or this season coming now, on Saturday, the 12th of September at 3 o'clock, home to Southampton, followed by an away fixture the following Saturday, which has been moved for BT Sport purposes, Man United. So Palace, we've actually been quite lucky at Old Trafford over the last couple of seasons, or certainly the last couple of times we played in there. Followed by a home game against Everton on the 26th at 3 o'clock, and then Chelsea away. God, how we would love fans back in the stadium, wouldn't we, Grant Saunders?
Oh, yes, we would. Never mind.
Go.
I've got to jump in your back there, Nick. You said we've been lucky at Old Trafford. No. That's absolute rubbish. Second game last season was Man United away. We deserved that 2-1 win, definitely. And we deserve more points up there before that as well. So I'm standing. You're corrected on that one.
Okay.
It's interesting. We got them again at the same time of the season.
It's also their first game of the season. So will they be rusty?
Yeah.
So tell everybody, Grant, why we would love by the early October, why we would love support was back in the stadiums,
as well as Fulham as well.
And Fulham as well. Go on, explain.
Well, we like to run a little a different method of transport to the match for everyone. I know it's a travel card game, but we tend to get off by Waterloo and we jump on a boat and we sail on the River Thames, go around a few circles. Everyone gets absolutely larruped. Great music. The tourists are looking over the bridges, saying in their own language. And yeah, boat trips, Nick, they're lovely, but we can't do it this year. And the boat people at the company I use, they're absolutely gutted because they love us. They're Palace people themselves. And look, time will tell. I just want Fulham to stay up. Then it's 2 boat trips a season. But there's a bigger but. It's not a however, it's a but. There's nothing stopping us doing it for the home match. If people want to.
Okay, well, we'll come to that. Okay, and don't forget, you also negated to mention the wonderful host as well. We'll pass over that. And so Saturday, the 17th of October, we're at home to that lockdown on the south coast. Okay, followed by an away fixture on the 24th of October to Fulham. But in the meantime, we've had some friendlies. Yes, Grant.
That lot on the south coast you mentioned just then, they've had a little trial, haven't they, with fans in the ground?
Yeah, 2,000 of them.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, my neighbour's obviously a Brighton person. But I've had no feedback. Has anybody here had any feedback how it went?
Well, they were all Chelsea fans anyway, weren't they?
Well, that's actually 100% of their real fan base, 2,500. I've heard nothing.
I did see some pictures where it just looked very, there was nobody standing up. Ian Abrahams, if you believe that clown on TalkSport, and we're going to touch on that in a minute. Ian Abrahams said, "What a wonderful atmosphere with 2,000 fans in the stadium." Bearing in mind they were sitting there as one person every other seat in one stand and nobody anywhere else in the stadium. It just looked pathetic. I'd rather not go at all than have to sit through that sort of shit, if I'm honest with you. I'd rather not be there. Football's for fans, full stop. So what else?
The players are realising that as well, Nick.
Yeah, I think they are.
The players are realising they need the fans there.
So we kicked off our pre-season campaign with a 2-1 victory over Oxford United, followed by, and we're good gentlemen, Rob and Nigel, I'm coming to you next, okay? I want you to eulogise, if you'd be so kind, on the demise of Charlton Athletic. Palace stuffed the pub team, Charlton Athletic 3-0. And tomorrow, and we're going to touch on this in a minute, tomorrow we take on Millwall at the Den, Tuesday the 1st of September at 2 o'clock. And yes, you can watch it live. Nigel, start with you. Your thoughts on the demise of Charlton Athletic, please. If you can stop laughing.
I say what goes around comes around, I think. So, you know, they've forever sort of thought they're better than us. They're just a little team in sort of far southeast London. It's been very badly managed. You know, sort of a couple of chairmen now. Some of the fans you might feel sorry for, but you know, sort of it's their, you know. I know you're laughing, but it's their club, and we'd do the same if it was us. So
and they would,
you know,
and that's the whole point. And they did, and they really did. Rob, your thoughts on the demise of Charlton Athletic, please?
I've got two thoughts. So when they relegated us that season and the whole Shalala song, I went to New York literally the week after, and I was queuing up to go to the Statue of Liberty, and I kid you not, family behind started singing that song, and they were Charlton Athletic fans, and I thought I'd gone all the way to New York to get rid of it, and they were there behind me singing that song. I didn't know any Palace gear on. They were just singing it. So I'm really, really pleased. But at the same token, I've got cousins I'm close to that it's great banter between us. And last couple of seasons, just the passion's gone out of their eyes. It's just so badly mismanaged. And from that point of view, a lot of the fans that I like, they've fallen out of love with football because there's nothing they can do about the club. They're just sunk. It's horribly managed.
I can't stop laughing. Okay, Ian, would you want? I mean, bearing in mind they would probably be our second heaviest rivals. Would you want to see that bunch of clowns, literally that bunch of clowns, go out of business?
No, because it'd ruin the fun that we're having at the minute. I have to say I've got a lot of friends that are Charlton fans, and they're fantastic people, genuine people.
You've got friends?
Say that again.
I said you've got friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah, only on Facebook. So they are genuine fans, genuine people, and they are watching their club, as Rob said, lurching from one disaster to another. Now, if the situation had been with the scum down on the coast, then I'd be getting the banter, the bunting out. So they're paying the price, and they know it now. They understand that Sha-la-la-la-la is a long, long time ago, and karma is a massive bitch. But even in a one-sided fight, you can only watch someone getting a beating too much, can't you? Too many times. It's about time they got back on their feet, got decent owners, and actually, became a team that we could actually have a rivalry with. But they're not, unfortunately. But I wish them well. I wish my mates. Go on.
I've got to ask Grant now because he's going to give us this boring, level-headed. They're proper football fans, and they're going to do this. We've got a wonderful stadium, and I want to say, Grant Saunders, your thoughts?
On what? Give me the question.
Would you be happy if Charlton Athletic went out of business?
Look, I'm a football fan, so I don't want to see any football club demise at all. But would I laugh if Charlton went out of business? Of course I would. Sorry, despise them. I went. I think it was Boxing Day. We had Charlton away. This is donkeys years ago. This is when I used to be a medium. Yeah, this is a long time ago. And
medium what
size? Yeah, up yours. And they're a group of people in the stadium. Can't call them fans. They were just singing how much they hate Palace, and it went on for ages. And we were just like, what? And then we all went up as one terrace singing about we hate Brighton. And I remember it was live. It was on telly because even the commentators referred to it because it was so bloody hilarious. They spent all their effort how much they hate Palace, and we just let them know we hate Brighton.
It is very much a one-sided rivalry.
Hey?
I said it is very much a one-sided rivalry.
Oh, it's one way, absolutely. Yeah, I have no time for them. I wouldn't miss them.
Talking about a team and their demise, and actually how it's been wonderful to watch. Crystal Palace take on Millwall in their third pre-season friendly of the summer tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 1st at 1400 hours. Looking to prepare for the 2021 season with another South London derby. This fixture sees Palace travel across the capital to play at the New Den, where they haven't featured competitively since 2013. There may also be a chance for the Palace fans to watch Ezin, as well as the Eagles battling at the... What?
I'm waiting to go on. Quick, hurry up. Finish your intro. Finish your intro.
Any of you interested in watching Palace for a fiver tomorrow? Because you can do it by going on to eagles.cpfc.co.uk.
Back to Millwall. Nick, you've been to my place. You know the setup here. My next door neighbour, Ish, is a Millwall fan. Tomorrow afternoon, there's going to be this 12-foot banner that just goes over his fence. You know my banner, the big one of that, yeah? It's going to be over his fence from whenever that's on to later. He's a staunch Millwall fan. He goes to every single match. He's giddy from me tomorrow afternoon.
Guys, what I want to discuss with you is the scenario that happened over the weekend, if you be so kind. And I'm going to come to you all for an open discussion. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, over on Twitter this weekend, there has been a shitstorm of the highest degree that in all my years of supporting Crystal Palace, I have never seen. Okay, so let me give you the brief scenario behind it. Cav at Sky TV has called out Dan, who is the writer presenter of the podcast on HLTCO, Hopkins looking to curl one in, and he has gone after Dan on there, accusing him of racial harassment on some of the tweets that he's allegedly Dan has exchanged with Cav at Sky. Cav at Sky has then used his platform, his massive media platform of Sky TV, and attacked Dan for it. Okay, called him out. Dan has responded as a gentleman and said, "Can you prove to me, please, any tweet where I've mentioned your colour, creed, ethnicity, or anything at all?" Okay, and Cav has come back and said nothing at all. Hasn't come back and answered his questions at all. Since then, boys, jump in and help me out. Moose, Broadcast Moose, has also come down on Cav's side. Who's the other one?
Jim White.
Jim White in particular came down in defence of Cav, his colleague at Sky. But the two people of absolute prominence that have come down on Dan's side are Ian Wright. Now, last time I checked, Ian Wright was of colour, okay, and Troy Townsend, who supports who he actually runs the Kick It Out campaign, and very, very vocal about the Black Lives Matter scenario. And they have both come out in Dan's support. The most exciting thing for me, okay, and it's something I've been advocating for years, is the power of the Palace fan base. When we are all united, okay, the power of the Palace fan base. What I witnessed over the weekend for the first time since in the last 10 years was every single fragmented part of the Palace fan base, okay, be it the HF, be it Back of the Nest, be it 5-year plan, be it Red and Blue Review, be it Proud and Palace, the whole fan base united. I described it on Twitter as the wagons circulated around Dan to protect Dan, because he is a decent bloke doing a cracking job. He is my go-to site on Twitter when it comes to anything to do with Palace and stuff that I need with Palace. Boys, open discussion, please. Tell me your thoughts. Rob, you were quite heavily involved in it. Kick off with you.
Yeah, so I did quite a lot of digging and spent like most of, I think it's Sunday morning when it came out, looking at it. And someone put all of the mildly contentious tweets that ever gone out from HLL, TCLC, what it was. And in isolation over the year, it does look like he's had an unhealthy kind of witch hunt towards Cav. But there's nothing racist in there in the slightest. There's a few just calling him a fraud and stuff. I think the most telling thing for me, however, as you say, Palace fans outpouring belief and all the groups, but it's all the other teams as well. They've said, look, do you know what? I've had lots of arguments with the HLTLC. But at the same token, he's a decent stand-up guy, and they've been healthy arguments. We don't always agree, but he's no way, anyway, these are ludicrous claims, not racist the slightest. And I think it's baffling. The silence from Sky is absolutely baffling. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Nige?
That's it. I was only aware of it once it started hitting sort of Twitter big star yesterday, and sort of I sent a tweet in on behalf of the North East Exiles on my Twitter account.
Yeah.
Obviously backing Dan, knocking Jim and Cav, sort of the hashtag sack them, and I also tagged Ofcom in it. Sort of putting for your information, hoping sort of Ofcom might pick it up and have a look at it as well. But I saw
that. That was a good move, by the way. That's an excellent move. I forgot to mention the two hashtags. The hashtag sack Jim White and sack Cav, Sky Cav are the two big hashtags. And they both they didn't just do well, they both went viral over the weekend. And they really did go viral. They were top of the viral list. Certainly the sack Cav was number one, and I think the sack Jim White was probably 5 or 6 on the list over the weekend. Sorry, Mark, I interrupted you.
Yeah, well, I don't know about. I've got my location set for the North East. Obviously, you've probably got yours on Twitter set for London. So you might see it might have been higher up because there's more people tweeting from London. But I've been reading him for years, and he's always abrupt. But there's not a racist bone in his body.
Well said.
I just can't see where they're coming from.
Grant, I don't know if I know you've been playing golf over the weekend. Did you spend much time? Did you see much of it?
Couldn't miss it, could you? Couldn't miss it at all. I hold back swearing in public, but this thing just seriously pisses me off. It really does. I pulled up the Twitter account whilst we've been talking, and you just read the first few tweets on Hopkins looking to curl one. Nothing but support. There's nothing but support at all. Nick, I like your analogy of the idea of the circle of wagons closing in on people, and then for people who have this platform, who work at Sky, I've had dealings with a few of them. They're bullies. They're absolute bullies, and they get away with whatever they like. I don't say murder. They get away with whatever they like, say what they like, and they normally win because they're the big fat cats. Let me read a couple of tweets to you from Troy Townsend. Yeah, we know he runs the Kick It Out. I do my homework before I follow any fan account. I've never had a question following Hopkins looking to curl one. Ian Wright, followed you for a long time. You have my full support. It goes on and on and on. If this bloke was a racist, those first two people who have tweeted would have nothing to do with his page. So the big fat cats, the bullies, arseholes, absolute arseholes.
And beautifully summed up as well. Ian, I know you weren't fully conversant with it over the weekend. Your thoughts as you've heard this, basically you've heard this live from us this evening.
Look, listen, you know my thoughts on Twitter. It's full of twats. However, I also abhor bullies. And if what's been suggested is the case, the people in a position of relative power are using that position to silence someone that they don't particularly like for no reason other than they dislike him or dislike what he's saying, then that's wrong and they need to be called out for it. And it's interesting if things transpire to be as they seem to be on the face of things, that someone's taken a dislike to someone else and then tried to abuse their positions, then yeah, they need to be called up for it, definitely. And it's heartening to see people, and as you say, the Palace fan base, the boys over at Back of the Nest, 5-year plan, etc., etc., and ourselves, obviously, clearly by doing this, supporting someone that is a little part of social media being loomed over by the big boys, and you just can't do it nowadays. You just can't do it. So it'll be interesting to see what Sky come out and say about it, and what Messrs White and the other guy come out and say about it, if they ever do. Maybe they're just hoping it's going to go away, but I highly doubt that, based on the furore that it seems to have caused. But like everything, it might be tomorrow's chip paper. So, but nevertheless, it doesn't make it right. And as I say, if they are found to be abusing their positions by trying to silence people they don't like to hear from, then that's wrong.
I think Jim White and Ian Abrahams from TalkSport and Sky Sports collectively must be really regretting putting their allegiances with Sky Cab. What Sky Cab actually objected to was the fact that Dan had actually previously called him out on some of the falsehoods that he was reported on. Give you the example. The example was Everton's alleged second bid for Wilf Zaha last season. That was never there. Everton came out and denied that there was ever a second bid. There was a first bid for sure. There was never a second bid, as Cab had reported live on Sky TV, and somebody actually played out the actual part of the lie that he actually fed on the screen. Now, Dan, I said to you on a private tweet over the weekend, and I'll say it to you publicly, if there is anything your friends at the Red and Blue Review can do to assist you, I am publicly calling on Sky TV to respond to the acts that you've had over the weekend, asking you to investigate that clown that you've got working for them. Dan, if you need anything, by all means, pick up the phone or just tweet me. I don't care what you do. Tweet any of the team, and we will assist you in any way, shape or form, because we stand with Dan.
It just needs, all it really needs is people to be sensible, and just talk it through rather than slinging mud at each other. Correct. These are all adults. Just sort it out.
Shall we move on? Anybody else got anything to think about before we move on to questions from the audience? Anybody? Right, let's have some. Okay. First of all, actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Ian, over to you. Because before we do questions, I want you to tell the viewers, listeners, and everybody else listening all over the planet about the great news from Red and Blue Review and our forthcoming season and your Palace Prediction League place. Oh, sorry, your football prediction league. Go for it.
Right. Okay. So as Nick has tried to throw me under the bus on previous shows and everything else as we were working on this, since the restart, we and Rob and Nigel were part of this, have been testing a Red and Blue Review prediction league. Because like me, I'm sure a lot of people out there will be bored to the back teeth of spending and wasting so much time on fantasy football leagues where you're having to change your managers change your captains all the time, change your players, swapping players in and out. And the league we're running is essentially, it is what it is, it says on the tin, it's a prediction league. Think of it as the new version of the pools, if you like. So, as Nick said earlier, go on to redandbluereview.co.uk. There's a limited number of places and they're going fast at the minute. And there are cash prizes for first, second and third. There are cash prizes for monthly manager for each of the months. So I'm sure that Rob and Nigel, if you actually made contact with them, they'll tell you how good it was. In fact, of the 15 people that tested it, 14 have automatically signed straight back up. So that shows you, and I couldn't have done it without them. They were all really good with their feedback. We had vlogs like this, you know, catching up with one another. We plan to do some shows during the year, and for the sake of 20 quid, which I think works out probably about 60p a week or whatever it is, it's good fun. So what happens is we will send you out the list of fixtures for the week following via email. You spend 30 seconds putting in your predictions, sending them back. We lock them in, and then everyone gets updated on a regular basis as to performance. You get 3 points for getting the score right, i.e. Palace 5, Brighton 0, or if it ends up being 4-0, you'll get 1 point for getting Palace winning, and you get nothing for obviously getting it completely wrong, as Nick Philpott normally does.
Yeah.
So there you go. So it's the registration process is underway. Places are filling up. Get your interest known and registered, and we will get back to you ASAP. I don't know if Rob or Nigel want to say anything about it, how they found it.
Well, you've done the whole thing by mentioning I won, so I'll mention that. But
sorry, yeah, I forgot. Rob won.
Oh yeah, he did. I forgot that as well.
Yeah, that's right. I won.
It was only a test anyway, so.
Yeah, when there's not money involved, I win it. It's fine. But no, honestly, he's ridiculously well won, and it's so simple. It's just literally 5 minutes a week filling out your predictions, and I have to admit, I was impressed with Ian's spreadsheet and the old newsletter that came around. It was actually looked very professional, so it's well worth it. £20 nothing, and the chance to win every month, and then the end of the year, and support the show as well is absolutely well worth it. So I 100% encourage people to do it.
Thank you, Nigel.
Yeah, I thought it was dead easy to use. So basically, all you do is you click reply on the email that Ian sends you. You then fill in your predictions on the spreadsheet on that, and then just hit the button. It goes back, and as I say, if you want to put a little bit of thought into it, it might take you 10 minutes. If you just want to put some draft results in, it takes you 30 seconds. And so some people need a strong pair of shoulders to play this game, don't they, Nick?
Indeed. Thank you for that hand over there, Rob. Nigel, I didn't need to be thrown under the bus, but look, as the guys have already said, I did finish in the lower half of the division and the test throughout the restart. It was a bit of fun. Okay, the serious stuff starts now, and I intend to be up the top half of the league. Ian Lyons seriously needs to be congratulated over this, because whilst Rob just alluded to the fact that it was a good spreadsheet, that's what he does for a living, for God's sake. Okay, it is so easy for you to use. You simply put in whatever it is, 8 results, populate the fields that he sends you, and just click send. And the system does everything else. You don't have to look at the scores. Ian will even send you out a follow-up during the course of the season as to where you are in the league and everything else and how you're getting on, and laugh like they did at me for all my wrong results, everything else, because it's a bit of fun, and that's what it's all about. And of course, again, one of the lads has just alluded to the fact that you are supporting the show. Yes, there's cash prizes. Yes, there's monthly manager of month prizes. But there's also proceeds going to the show to help us do what we do for you, free of charge, every Sunday with our love. Okay, because that's what we do it for. We do it for love, the love of our club. So please get involved, jump on. Ian just quite rightly said, I'm aware of what the numbers are, but they are filling up fast. Don't be left behind. Please don't be left behind. Right. Moving on, gentlemen. Questions from the audience. As we will be playing behind closed doors to start of the season, it looks like no fans will be at away matches all season. If Crystal Palace stream all the games, what would you be willing to pay to watch all the games stream? Now, I'm actually going to kick off with Grant on this, simply because Grant goes to more games than any of the rest of us. Grant, Saunders, you first. Rob, I'm coming to you second.
Ian was up with his hand very quickly, Nick, so I'm actually going to let him go there.
Go on, mate.
I'll come back in after.
Well, that's very kind of you, Grant. Thank you. You can come again.
Direct debit is welcome.
But provided you actually join the prediction league, because you're the only one of us that
Sorry, bad signal. Can't hear. Yeah.
Right. How much would I pay to watch Palace on the season ticket? A £5. I think £5 a game, home and away. I think that would be fine for me. the club are losing money. The club aren't losing as much money as other clubs are, but I think that's a fair return. How much are we paying for a season ticket at the minute? 20 quid for just for the home game. So if it's a fiver, then that's fine, and I can watch it anywhere then, can't I?
Right, go now. I saw people kicking off it was a fiver. I actually thought, my initial reaction was they're taking the proverbial bit, but it's a fiver. That's not a lot of money, and it's not bad coverage. Yes, it's going to be without the crowd noise, but I actually prefer that myself. I don't know when we're going to get back to the ground, so I think a fiver per match, you can't sniff that really. It's not bad at all. Unless you go, can you get a season ticket? Can you get a season ticket worth of streams? I don't know.
Yeah, because if you notice, obviously there's no news on things like season tickets. You two boys, you got any thoughts on it? How much are you happy to pay a fiver per game?
That's it. I'll pay a fiver a game for the Premiership. I was a bit knocked when I saw the Charlton game was a fiver, because for the last 10 years I've been a gold member, and the likes of pre-season friendlies, the under 23s, that's part of the package. So I thought, well, you know, if they'd have offered me a gold package, I'd probably taken it anyhow when it came out. But for during the season, five a match, it's worth watching it.
I'll finish off on a point. Rob, your thoughts?
Fiver would be ideal. I don't think it'll be a fiver. I think if the friend is a fiver, I think it'll be more for the Premier League games. I think they'll do a tenner or something.
Yeah.
I think they've got to be sensible, because people will just stream the games otherwise, and they'll lose money and no one will do it. They should adopt the NFL season passing. That would be pay so much that works out a fiver a games, like, I don't know, 100 odd quid for the season. But if you want to buy individual games, that could be a 10 or 15 quid. They should do something like that. But you can buy a season pass and watch all the games that work out cheaper. I think that's what they should do, but I can see it being more expensive per game.
Can I jump in on the back of that?
Yeah.
I agree with what you say, Rob, about having a season pass. I mentioned that season ticket. But let's just say football comes in from the 1st of January, you can get back in the stadiums. Will the club then lose their footfall of supporters? I've had some conversations with some people inside the club, and they are concerned about the effect it's going to have on the people who have season tickets, the people who come on an ad hoc basis, the people who are fighting for the tickets every week. So if you've got a £5 string, you can stay away. But Rob, I think about an hour ago you said about you like going to the games, going to the pub, etc. Is that going to stop people doing that? If you can just sit in your TV and drink your can of shandy in your armchair, spend a fiver.
I don't think there'll be many season tickets holders that once they can go back to the game will not go rather than watching TV. You love going. So I think every season holder will love going and go back. But you're right, the casual fans, the casual ticket buyers, they'll watch it at home.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too much of an issue. I think because let's touch about it now. Season tickets. I've been hearing that like other clubs, it'll likely, when fans will be allowed in, it'll likely go to ballot. There'll be 25% occupancy initially, and those season ticket holders that don't get in will be refunded the money. Well, what instead if they just gave them a stream to the game, or make it, as I've been saying on previous shows before the lockdown, it's about time that they offered an away season ticket for streams. And I think you could get around it that way. So I think if they're worried about losing casual fans or losing fans at home, there are different ways around it. I think what this lockdown has done is it's changed everything. So it's changed all the previous thoughts, suggestions. 3 p.m. live games is now gone, isn't it? Long overdue. So they have to start earning their money at the Premier League. They have to start thinking out the box. Clubs, but they have to do it with clubs. And I think no one's going to want to watch football if there are no fans in there for too much longer. If as soon as lockdown's finished and fans are back, people will be wanting to see games with full crowds. So they could either sell overseas season tickets to watch streams, or you can do it plenty of ways and then reduce the ticket for actually attending the game. there's plenty of ways making it more expensive to watch a stream than to go home to watch a game. There are plenty of ways around it. I think it's just lazy thinking, and if they're just saying, "Oh, we're worried about it," Well, if you're worried about it, don't come with us to the problem, as you said earlier, Grant.
Give us the solution.
Give me the solution.
Yeah, we all know what the problem is.
Okay, guys, moving on to the
Roy
next
Hodgson.
one. Nigel Croucher, I'm coming to you first. What players will be going out of the exit door of SE25 by the end of the current transfer window? What are your thoughts?
I think Wickham will go. I think we've seen the last of him. Benteke, he's definitely going to go, I think. 8 million. I'm sure Villa will take a punt at that. Surloff, he's going to go, but we're going to get,
Nothing
as
worried.
we've already discussed, was it 6.5 million? And they're automatically going to sell him to the Italians for 20 odd. Yeah, sort of whoever's in charge of that one wants to show him the exit door as well. So there'll be a few going, but I think they're the main ones. And I say, as for Wilf, we've already discussed that. I've got a sneaking suspicion he's going to be with us till January.
Interesting. Rob, you got any other thoughts on who will actually leave us?
I think the names mentioned, there's no way we'll let 3 strikers go when we're dying for strikers as it is. I don't think we'll sell any of the strikers until we get one in. It's not going to happen. I know we need free money. I think Max might be on his way out if we get a bid to do the wage bill. It seems to have gone quiet on Sacco, but he's been one that I'll get off the wage bill. And James McCarthy, I think there's firm interest there. But everyone else, I know we haven't touched about it too much, but the youth players as well coming through, it depends how much of a chance we're going to take on them. But I think it's the high earners that are the fringe players that they're the ones we're going to sort of float.
So, go by what you've just said. Do you realise what you've just said? Sacco, Benteke, Zaha and Maya. If you were to remove those 4 players from our wage bill, what a difference that will make to our wage structure, Rob. You make a great point, okay, and really well put, mate, because I think if you could lose even 3 out of those 4, okay, that will give us an opportunity. And I think there's obviously some movement there, hence why we're doing a little bit of business earlier, which is very unlike Palace, as we know. So your point is very well made. Boys, okay, last one for this evening, I'm going to wrap it up. Roy is Bookie's favourite to get the sack first. How long will the board back him if we start this season the way we finished the final games, 9 games of last season? Rob, as you're on screen, you go first.
I hope we've learned with Pardew not to hold on to managers for too long. We have a certain amount of loyalty there. But, we won't continue. I'll give it to October at best. I'll be 4 or 5 games. If it continues in the same run of ball, maybe 1.2 points and playing badly and playing dull, I think we'll be looking.
Okay. Grant?
Yeah. I think, again, the club does have loyalty to their manager. I think there's a plan there for Roy for at least another season, and I think they'll stick with it as well. I really do. They're bringing youth in. They're bringing some different players in. We are going to get rid of some deadwood. Wasn't Max linked with some kind of swap move somewhere?
If he is, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I think we'll stick with Roy unless he loses the first 7 games. Seems to be our favourite number, isn't it? 7.
Nige?
I'd give Roy first 6 games. I'll say the first 6 are like 7 out of the last 9. He'll be gone. But if he does stay, I'd like him get somebody in before the end of the season and just get him to mentor them a bit. Sort of arm around the shoulder. Because he's a wiry old dog, and he's got a few tricks to teach people
to pass on. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Lyons, your final thoughts of the evening, please.
I think they'll give him 10 games. If he gets 10 points from the first 10 games, looking at that fixture, I think it's going to be a pretty tough opening set of fixtures for us. with the likes of Leeds, likes of Chelsea, likes of Man United, Southampton on form. Wolves even, I think, are in there as well. So, but unusually, we seem to have a relatively, on paper, quiet running, and I think that may well be their fallback scenario for whoever comes in if we need to change. So I think first 10 games he'll get, and then if he hasn't got more than, I don't know, 5 points from that, I think he's seriously on dodgy ground, and they'll be scrabbling for a manager.
Gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching or listening to the Red and Blue Review. This has been our first attempt at a pre-recorded podcast for your delectations. I think this is proved to be successful. Rob and Nigel especially, thank you for joining us this evening. Ian and Grant, no doubt you'll be back numerous times this season. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back doing what we do best. The only live show on Crystal Palace Show anywhere out on social media. Please tell your friends all about it. Please share this video or this podcast to all your Palace supporting friends. Tell them about Red and Blue Review. Get onto our website. Have a register for this football predictions thing that we're carrying out this season. It's been my pleasure to be back. We will be back. Holyoke will be back. Lucy Usher will be back. I'm sure Greg will pop in at some point. And of course, Ian Lyons and Grant Saunders will be with me for the whole season. And lots of different guests coming up during the season. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us this evening. On behalf of myself, your host, Nick Philpott, I wish you a safe rest of your summer, and we'll talk to you very soon. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Cheers.